the identity shift required for your rich girl era, okay? Because, my girl, it is time. It is time for your freaking rich girl era. And I'm not talking just rich in your bank account, but rich in wealth, rich in your desires, rich in love, rich in travel, rich in peace, rich in all of it, okay? Because money isn't the only thing, but it is a big part of it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a big part of it. So rich on all facets, truly. Okay, so I've got some notes here. And I wrote down the difference between wanting more and becoming the woman who has more. There's a huge difference here. Wanting more, you're constantly in this state of, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, but I want to be in this future place, versus actually just being the person who has it all. This is a clear distinction, and this is how you bridge the gap between where you're at now and where you want to go. Also, I don't know if you guys can hear, I was about to pause it, but honestly, I'm not going to pause it. I don't know if you guys can hear the backdrop. I hope I'm speaking loud enough that you can actually hear me, okay? But we're just going to roll with it. We're going to keep going. But in order to do that, in order to become the person who is the wealthy woman, who is the rich woman, you have to let go of the past identity. The one that was who was always in this wanting phase, and who was honestly living in scarcity and living from a victim mindset. And I don't like to use the words victim mindset because it triggers so many people on the internet. They're like, I'm not a victim, blah, blah, blah. But you know, I can always tell when I'm putting myself in a victim mindset, okay? And so, in order to up-level your identity, you have to let go of the past, okay? Let's see what else I have. Okay, yeah. It all comes from raising consciousness. Now, you know that you're entering into a new identity whenever you hang around people that you know, people that have been in your past, your friends, and you're like, you guys are operating at a different level. You can kind of hear all of the scarcity that those people have, right? You can hear all of the negative doubts, the lack of self-belief, the blaming the system, blaming other people, saying that, oh, it's just hard, or life isn't fair, or man, would it be nice if XYZ, right? That's a totally different level of consciousness. And so you need to pay attention to their habits, and your habits too. Habits, your language, how they talk about things, how they talk about money, how they talk about health, how they talk about fitness, how they talk about love, how they talk about relationships, marriages, work, all of it. You can feel when you're basically vibrating, right? I'm going to get a little woo-woo here. But when you're vibrating at a higher frequency and they're vibrating at a lower frequency, you can tell, okay? You can literally tell that. I've had so many situations where we used to be vibrating at the same frequency, and it never felt uncomfortable, right? Because we kind of all have that same mentality. But when you work on yourself internally, when you work on yourself to become better, to see things differently, to be empowered, to take control of your situation, to work on this, the mindset, work on your brain, work on your identity, work on your self-belief, and the person and the woman that you are becoming, you start to vibrate at a totally different frequency, at a higher frequency. And this is literally science, okay? In science, right, there's a difference when the atoms, right, when atoms are vibrating at a different frequency, right? This is the same thing with sound. You can hear certain things at a higher level versus at a lower level. It's literally the same thing. So what frequency are you vibrating at now? And if you're vibrating at a different frequency than the people around you, you start to feel that, and you notice it, and you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable because you're just like, interesting, and you can't unsee it. That's the thing too, is you can't unsee it because you see it in all the people around you, and you're like, damn, we gotta move into different rooms. We gotta move into different spaces. Now, I don't want to freak you out because this isn't to say like you need to get rid of all your friends. Some people do that, but like I generally don't think in that terms. I think that there's not necessarily space for everyone, because there isn't. Some people do kind of have to be left behind. I hate the term left behind, but you get what I mean. But you may need to limit interactions with them so they don't pull you back down to a lower frequency. But yeah, you start to see their limitations. And this is when up-leveling does start to feel a little bit lonely, okay? Sometimes, especially if you aren't around other people vibrating at the same frequency as you, they don't have the same mindset as you, it can feel really lonely because you don't have anyone else around you to talk about this with. I was literally just talking to my mastermind women through my Loop Year mastermind about this, but a lot of them are, they're now, you know, vibrating at a totally new frequency, and they're realizing that a lot of people around them just like aren't, it's not hitting the same. They're not gaining fulfillment from hanging out with them. Also, I have olives. But they're not gaining the same fulfillment that they used to being around them, because they've just had that shift, you know? And so this is what I wrote. Familiar relationships start to feel foreign. The emotional gap between old you and the new you really starts to create a wedge. And the problem too is some people are going to come up with you. Some people are going to be able to rise with you, but some people won't. And that's when things get sticky, and that's where it's so important for you to put your boundaries in terms of who gets to actually be in your life and who doesn't anymore. Because not everyone is actually meant for every single season. Okay, so what even is the rich girl mindset, right? Ease, its standards, self-respect, financial clarity, just clarity in general around the way that your life gets to work. And big on the standards, right? Because you can tell, like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. I basically, when I turned 28 really, I had this shift where I'd been staying in hostels all throughout my teens, all throughout my 20s, and that was okay. I loved like a good deal. I loved staying somewhere cheap. It was totally fine. But it's like my soul knew there was a new level to me. My soul knew that there was this higher vibration, upper level where I think we're just done with hostels. I think it's time for us to start staying in kind of bougie hotels. And ever since I was 28, I've really put, and like it's just been a core part of me, because even when I was 24, I like blew all my money to go stay in a really nice hotel. But this is when you know, like you're raising your standards, you're raising the bar for yourself. Now, I'm gonna let you know, I'm bougie. I'm a bougie girl. I like to stay in nice places, and that has just become the standard for me. That's the baseline. And you get to shift your standards whenever you please. You get to change your standards as you please. There is truly nothing stopping you from raising them except you. Nothing else. And so this is why, and this is why I even say the rich energy isn't just about money, right? It's about belief, it's about inner identity, it's about who you get to be in this world, it's about how people treat you, it's about the experiences you get to have. You get to change your identity, you get to change your standards, you get to become the rich, wealthy woman that you know you were always meant to be. And so it's important whenever you're stepping into this next level, this next phase, you have to create a shield around yourself. Like I said, you're going to have people coming from all sides trying to lower your vibration, but it's critical that you create a shield around you, around your energy. Protect that energy, because that is your job at this point. When you've raised to a new vibration, it is your job to protect your energy, protect your standards, protect your identity so you don't fall back into a lower vibration. And so people can say whatever they want, they can complain about whatever they want, you can see their limiting beliefs, you can see their limitations in terms of their mindset, and that's okay. It doesn't affect you, right? It doesn't affect you because you know internally what your identity truly is, what it's rooted in, what your beliefs are, how life gets to go for you. You know. And nothing can rock you. That's when you know your identity has changed, because you've created the shield around you and nothing can penetrate it. And sometimes things will. Sometimes things will penetrate it. I literally had this experience recently where I was just around other people who essentially just believed that everything had to be hard. Like things had to be hard. Things were kind of a struggle. And I was like, I just don't believe that's true. I don't think, not to say that nothing in life is ever going to be hard, but I do believe you can create a beautiful, fun, flowy experience that is life. And that is my reality. That is how I choose to live. And that is my standard and my identity. But what I noticed is other people's beliefs would start to creep in. I'm like, is that true? Is that actually right? I don't really know. Like, maybe it's not. And I started to doubt myself. And this is where limiting your exposure to those other voices is so key. So even when you're thinking about creating that boundary around yourself, think about how you're going to limit your exposure as well. And this is why, like, not everyone should actually have access to your vision. When you have a big, grandiose vision, not everyone around you is going to get it. Not everyone around you is going to understand you. And guess what? That is okay. They don't have to. And they shouldn't have access to that version of you, and that's okay. But this is why it is so important to get into rooms, to get into spaces that raise your vibration, that raise your standards, that raise you to this whole new level of wealth, of love, of joy, of career, of finances, of happiness. You need to put yourself in those spaces. And that's honestly exactly why I created Wanderlust Wealth Academy. It's why I created all of my programs, but especially like when I first got started Wanderlust Wealth Academy, it was essentially trying to raise the vibrations of women who desired, not just women, but women, men who desired freedom, who were kind of stuck in corporate America at this lower vibration. It's so funny. Whenever I go back into corporate spaces, a lot of people complain about their jobs, complain about their circumstances. It's the same thing over and over again, and that is a lower vibration. And I get into those spaces and I'm like, this just isn't for me. This also isn't my life anymore. I'm at a completely different stage and level. And this is why it's so important to get into spaces that help push you and keep you at these higher vibrations and even push you further than that. So, if you know real estate investing is something that you want to do, you know it's something that's been on your heart for a very long time, that is exactly why I created Wanderlust Wealth Academy. It's for you to be surrounded by other people who are operating at a higher vibration. They're investing in real estate. They're building wealth. They're building lives of true freedom, of love, of joy, of passion, of freedom, excitement, right? And so that's what Wanderlust Wealth Academy is all about. We're actually running a Black Friday deal about it. So if you know real estate is in your pop and it's a part of your freedom trajectory, especially if you know you want a house hack, you want to do short-term rentals, maybe you want to scale your portfolio through partners or anything like that, then this is probably going to be the right space for you. Feel free to go ahead and check the link that's in the notes, or just go to oliviatati.com/WWA. You can read about the program there. And once again, we have our Black Friday deal happening. This is also the last time that anyone will be able to sign up for WWA for the rest of the year, basically. So get in there. I can't wait to see you in there.